good. In alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. We're continuing with our special series on Hajj because again, the month of Hajj has began. This is the second day of Dhul Hijjah, and I want you guys to remember during these first 10 days of the month of Hajj, you want to increase your good deeds. Do as many good deeds as you can. Not everyone is able to fast. I'm just going to be real. You're going to hear a lot of lectures from a lot of daya telling you to fast. I'm here to tell you that a lot of you are old like me now. We've been here for years, and fasting is not possible for everyone because a lot of people suffer with diseases. I have a lot of students here who are suffering with cancer. They can't fast. I have a lot of people, such as myself, who have arthritis and things like that, that is so painful that they can't fast because they have to take that medicine or else the pain will intensify. So I'm going to just tell you what other diet don't tell you. You don't have to fast these 10 days. There's other good deeds you can do besides fasting. And I don't care what anybody tells you, no fast, no voluntary fast on this planet brings more reward than the obligatory fast of Ramadan. That's the reality. The obligatory deeds come first. In fact, if you have not made up your days from last Ramadan, you can fast all you want to during these 10 days. You're not going to get no reward for it. So again, good deeds are not just limited to fasting. You can give in charity. You can help other people. Go shopping for a person who can't shop. Do a good deed. Take a sister grocery shopping who doesn't have a car. Mow the lawn of your neighbor. Help someone, babysit somebody's children. Any good deed is an act of charity and it brings about reward. So, because not everybody can fast. We get old. And when you get old, it becomes hard to do things like fasting, especially when I got a lot of people here with cancer. And I find it really amazing how many of my students who have become old here have cancer, are going through chemotherapy for breast cancer and stuff. Isn't that something how Allah purifies us? He will cause us to get a disease like that, and it's painful. You go through the chemotherapy and the treatment. Alhamdulillah, most people come out okay here at my website. A couple of sisters who went through the treatment, they're fine. Okay, it was just painful, the sickness, but they're okay. That's Allah's way of forgiving you of your sins. Okay, but anyway, again, during these first 2 days, do as many good deeds as you can, and it's not just limited to fasting. If you can't fast, don't worry about it. Don't even try to if you're sick. Do something else. Help your neighbor, babysit for someone. Take a sister out to dinner who did fast. Cook a dinner and take it to the mosque for the single brothers. Okay, so I wanted to mention that. And also, yesterday we talked about, Hajj and the virtues of it and the rewards of it. I'm going to give you a quiz tomorrow. The quiz tomorrow will cover that and what we are speaking about today. Today, what we're going to speak about is the ability to perform Hajj, the ability to make the Hajj. We're going to answer a lot of questions that many Muslims ask about performing the Hajj. And in order to perform the Hajj, you have to meet the criteria. We went over the conditions yesterday briefly, but today I'm going to go into detail about two of the main conditions. The number one main condition is you have to be healthy and physically fit. If you are not in good health, if you are not physically fit, then guess what? Making Hajj is not obligatory upon you. If you are disabled due to your old age or your disease, say your arthritis, I have a lot of sisters and brothers here who email me and say they can't make Hajj because of their arthritis being so bad, or any type of reason like that. Or even if you, then what you need to do is get someone else to make it for you. Get someone else to perform it for you. If you are able to afford to make Hajj, but you don't have the physical health, then assign someone else to do it on your behalf and you pay for it. Everybody understand that? So you're diagnosed with cancer, you have plans to make Hajj, but now you can't, you're going through chemo, but you do have the money, you meet the other criteria, then you can get your someone who already made it. Like say, for example, your son made Hajj already, then you can pay for him to go and make it on your behalf, and you will get the reward. So again, that's one of the conditions. You have to be physically fit and healthy. Another condition is that it must be safe for you to go. You don't have to worry about terrorists. If a lot of people, what about the terrorists? If the terrorists have taken over Mecca, or the terrorists are killing people and destroying planes that go to Mecca and all that, then again, Hajj is not obligatory upon you, because the law does not want you to put yourself in harm's way. And believe it or not, that's one of the signs of the last hour. That day will come, whereas the terrorists will try to prevent us from even making Hajj. It hasn't happened yet, but it's going to come. So if you're afraid or you fear for your life due to highwaymen, which are terrorists and all of that, or there's an epidemic, say that there's an epidemic over there in Saudi Arabia, people have developed this weird sickness. Okay, then you don't have to make Hajj, even though you have the money. Because again, Allah doesn't want to put you in harm's way. And then the third condition, very important, you must be able to afford it. Hajj is not for poor people. If you cannot afford to make Hajj, then guess what? It's not obligatory upon you. You have to be able to not only pay your way there, but you also have to have money to provide for your family while you are gone. You can't go and make Hajj and leave your wife and children without food, clothing, or housing. You have to have the bills paid for them at home and all of that. And also, you can't go around selling your clothes and, like a lot of Muslims are doing, selling their personal belongings or your home because you want to get money to make Hajj. That means, guess what? If you have to sell your clothes, sell your belongings to make Hajj, then guess what? That means you didn't qualify for it. That means Hajj was not obligatory upon you. Hajj only becomes obligatory upon the Muslim when the Muslim meets the conditions, when the Muslim meets the criteria. If you don't have the health, or you don't have the money, or you're something like that, then it's not obligatory. Allah is not going to hold you accountable for what you cannot do. So these Muslims that that are running around selling everything they got, trying to raise money to make Hajj, and they're leaving their wives and children at home on welfare, and they don't have money to pay the rent, don't have money to buy food. These brothers are wrong for doing this. So these 3 points are very important to remember. So now, where's my evidence? Whenever we speak about this religion, whenever we tell other Muslims what they can and cannot do, you have to be able to provide the clear evidence. The clear evidence being the verses from the Quran that clearly support and state what you are saying, or the hadiths that clearly state that you can't make Hajj if you can't afford it. Well, here's my evidence to everything I just shared with you. Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation of the meaning, pilgrimage is a duty men owe to Allah, those who can afford the journey. That verse right there underlines the fact that ability and power are the necessary prerequisites of not just making Hajj, but any form of worship. Everybody understand that? Hajj is an act of worship. It involves traveling. You have to be able to travel. You have to be able to pay your way and also support your family while you're gone. Listen to what else Allah says in another verse in the interpretation, the meaning. Nor is there any blame on those who do not find the money to spend, nor is there blame on those who come to you to be provided with mounts, and you said, I can find no mounts for you. So here Allah is telling us He does not hold you accountable. Those who don't have the money, the resources to pay to go to Hajj or make Hajj or to provide for their families while they're gone, then, Allah doesn't hold them accountable. You have to meet the condition of being able to afford it and being able to travel there. Does everybody understand that? So I want you guys to remember those conditions. If you see a person going around talking about they're trying to make Hajj and they selling everything they got, that person's an idiot. Remind that brother and sister, first of all, learn the religion. You don't meet the criteria. The criteria is you have to be able to afford it. Hajj is not for the poor. Hajj is for the people who can afford it. If you see a sister in a wheelchair talking about she trying to get to make Hajj, or a brother with one leg talking about how he don't know how he gonna walk to make Hajj, he's not held accountable for that. He doesn't meet the criteria. So that brings us to another question that many Muslims ask. What about children? What about the Hajj of a child? Again, we are not held accountable for fulfilling the obligations that Allah has imposed upon us until we reach the age of puberty. Any child who has under the age of puberty is not held accountable. So if you take them to make Hajj, it'll serve as a reward for them. But guess what? When that child becomes an adult, he has to make it again. Does everybody understand that? Say you and your husband go to make Hajj and y'all take your 6-year-old son with you. Alhamdulillah. But when your son turns 14 and reaches puberty, he has to make it again in order for it to count. It's not going to count as an obligatory Hajj until he becomes an adult, because one of the conditions, again, another condition of being able to perform the Hajj is you must be an adult. You must be over the age of puberty. And again, where is my evidence? This is how you can tell if a person is qualified to speak about Islam and teach Islam. Is that person a true teacher? If they can back up everything they say to you with clear evidence. Well, where's Layla's clear evidence? Well, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, any child who performs Hajj must perform it again when he reaches the age of puberty. And any slave who performs Hajj and is then freed must make his Hajj again too. There's my evidence. And again, clear evidence is, if I tell you that Jack and Jill went up the hill and they both fell down, I have to bring the hadith that says the same thing. Jack and Jill went up the hill and they both fell down. If it says that just Jack fell down, then I didn't give you clear evidence. It has to have that they both fell down. Well, in this case, you see it, the Prophet clearly stated, any child must perform the Hajj again when he's an adult. So again, be careful of the daya that you listen to on Facebook. Many who are just talking, but they're not qualified to teach because they haven't studied the religion correctly or at all. Many of them, they are self-taught. The child can make it and it'll be a blessing for him, but he has to make it again when he's an adult. Also, we have a hadith where one of the companions says, my father made Hajj with the Prophet and I was with him and I was only 7 years old. And I have to repeat. Was told to repeat my Hajj when I came upon age. Also, another hadith. Ibn Abbas tells us that during a Hajj, a woman held up a boy and said, "O Prophet, will my son be rewarded?" The Prophet said, "Yes, and you too will be rewarded." The boy will be rewarded for obeying his parents. The mother will be rewarded for helping and teaching her son how to make Hajj. Just like, we teach our children to fast. We teach our children to pray when they reach the age of 7. And we try to make them pray. We make them fast at the age of 10. You get the reward. You will get the reward of their fasting. The same with that. You get the reward of that child's Hajj because you took him to teach him how to do it and what it was about. But he still has to make it on his own again when he reaches the age of puberty. Does everybody understand that? And this is a big question I get every year from Muslims. I'm taking my child on Hajj. Does he have to make it again when he gets older? Yes. And there's your evidence. Also, for you brothers, you possessive brothers, or you insecure brothers, a husband should never refuse his wife to make Hajj for the first time. If your wife has never made Hajj and you guys meet the conditions, she got the money, she's physically fit, and she wants to make Hajj, you should not refuse her. Because guess what? A woman, and you sisters need to understand something. You need to get your husband's permission, okay, to do something, including Hajj. Now, if you meet the conditions as a woman, you have the money, you're physically fit, your husband is your mahram, he can go and he can take off from work and take you, or your son can go with you who's over puberty or whatever. If a woman meets the conditions, then you just don't up and go. You first go to your husband and ask for his permission to go. Now, if he refuses you, you can still go, as long as you got that mahram. If he doesn't want to take you, but your son can go with you as a mahram, or your brother, or your father, or your uncle, or whatever, then you can refuse your husband. Why? Because just like fasting Ramadan, just like wearing a hijab, making Hajj is an obligation. And there is no obedience to the creation over the Creator. You gave your husband his respect by asking him. He told you no, then you say, well, I'm still going to do it because it's an obligation I owe to Allah, and I don't know how long I'm going to be here on this earth. I don't even know if I'll be healthy the next year. I have my uncle who's willing to go with me. So the children are well taken care of. So I'm going on Hajj, Aki. Again, this is only if it's your first time. But now, if you have made Hajj already once in your life, and you just want to go again, and your husband tells you no, guess what, sisters? You cannot go. Hello. Because you've already fulfilled the obligation. Hajj is only obligatory upon us to do once in a lifetime. You want to go because the other sisters are going, or because your mother's going, and your husband said, no, I took you on Hajj 2 years ago, then you have to obey your husband. You can't go then, because you've already fulfilled the obligation to Allah. And so now you have to obey your husband. Is this clear to everyone? Because I get a lot of emails about this, women fighting with their husbands about this Hajj thing. Brothers, if it's your wife's first time and she meets all the conditions, she has the mahram to go with her, then you let her go. If it's her second time or third, then you can tell her no. Everybody understand that? The same with swearing, making a vow. What if I make a vow swearing by Allah that I'm going to make Hajj next year? Then I have to fulfill that vow. Be careful making vows, guys, because you don't even know if you're going to be living next year. Don't sit around making vows to do something. It's not really encouraged for us as Muslims to make vows like that. But if you have made a vow to make Hajj, you have to fulfill it even if your husband told you no. Because again, obedience to Allah comes first. Now, where is my evidence? Again, that's a lot to take in. You brothers don't want to hear that, many of you. Many of you sisters don't want to hear this. Well, where's Layla's evidence? Well, Ibn Umar tells us that while speaking about a wealthy woman whose husband had refused to give her permission to make Hajj, the Prophet told her that she can't go unless her husband gives permission. Now, this is a woman who already had made Hajj. She had already made Hajj. In fact, she made it more than once. She wanted to go again. This woman was very wealthy. And her husband told her no, but she was going to go anyway. Well, the Prophet says she can't go because she already fulfilled that obligation to Allah. Okay, so again, guys, that's something that I want you guys to remember. Sisters, get your husband's permission. If he tells you no and it's your first time and you do meet all the other criteria, then you can disobey him and go. But if you have made it before and he tells you no, you're done. Okay? Any questions about that before I move on? Because that's a lot for some people to take in. Any questions about that before I move on? Okay. Now we get to the next big question. What if a person dies having never made Hajj? Hajj is an obligation that we owe to Allah if we meet the criteria. Well, if a person dies before making Hajj, or if a person swore an oath to make Hajj but died before he could fulfill it, then whoever that person's heir is has to assign someone to make Hajj on his behalf. So say your mother died, she never met the criteria, never made Hajj. You can make Hajj on her behalf. Or you could appoint somebody else to make Hajj on her behalf. But all the money has to come from her property. You guys get that? So say your mother died. She never made Hajj. You can appoint your brother to make Hajj for her. And the money comes out of her and her property, her estate. Where's my evidence? Well, we have the hadith whereas a woman from the tribe of Johanna came to the Prophet and said, "O Prophet of Allah, my mother had made an oath to perform Hajj, but she died before fulfilling it. Should I make it on her behalf?" The Prophet said, "Yes, make it on her behalf. Would you not pay off any debts your mother had? Then pay off what you owe to Allah because he's more deserving of your payment than anyone else." So you learn a lot from that hadith. You also learn from that hadith that a woman can perform Hajj on behalf of a deceased person too. And again, the money comes from that person's estate because that person, making Hajj is a debt. Just like fasting Ramadan. Fasting Ramadan is a debt that we owe to Allah too. That's why I tell you guys every year, keep track. Keep track of the days that you are not able to fast and let your family know how many days you have to make up. Because if you should die, they can fast and make those days up for you. Well, the Hajj falls in that category too. If you die having not made Hajj, it doesn't even have to be a family member. It could be a friend. Someone can make it Hajj on your behalf if that person has not made it for themselves yet. Okay? And again, in order to make Hajj on behalf of someone, you have to have first made Hajj on your own first. If the person did not make Hajj for himself, then how can he make it for you? So if you appoint somebody to make Hajj on behalf of a deceased person, make sure you choose someone who has already made Hajj for himself. And again, this is based on the hadith where a woman said, "O Prophet of Allah, Allah has prescribed Hajj for us. Now that I am grown up, I find that my father is old. He can't ride a camel long. Should I make Hajj for him?" The Prophet said, "Yes." Okay. So again, you can make Hajj, on behalf of a person, but again, you can be a woman making it on behalf of a man. But the condition is that you must have made Hajj already yourself before you make it for someone else. Is that clear? I get a lot of questions about that every year too. And now, big point here to make. A very big point here to make. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot take out a loan from the bank or anyone else to make Hajj. And it makes sense because the criteria or one of the big conditions to making Hajj is you must be able to afford it. If you got to go to the bank and take out a loan, a $10,000 loan to make Hajj, then you didn't meet the criteria. If you're going around begging people to give you money so you can make Hajj, you better go get a life, dude. And also, you cannot make Hajj with money that came from unlawful sources. Again, a man said, "I asked the Prophet about a person who never made Hajj. Should he take a loan out?" The Prophet said, "No. Hello, goodbye." I want y'all to remember that hadith. There's Muslims on Facebook right now arguing about this. When they're ignorant, they need to go read and learn the religion from a qualified teacher. The Prophet was asked, should a person get a loan to perform Hajj? And the Prophet said no. Because again, you have to meet the condition of being able to afford it. If you can't afford it, then you don't qualify. Then it's not obligatory upon you yet. Okay? And where's my evidence that the money cannot come from illegal matters? You cannot go out and sell drugs and then make Hajj with the drug money. Well, we have the hadith where, as the Prophet said, when a pilgrim sets out for Hajj with lawful money and says, "Oh Allah, here I am," in response to your call, an angel will answer him from the heavens saying, "Your call has been heard. You are a happy person. Your money is lawful. Your traveling is lawful. Your pilgrimage is free of sin and acceptable." But if your money came from unlawful sources and you say, "Oh Allah, here I am," in response, an angel will say, "Your call is not accepted, nor are you welcome. Your food is unlawful, your money is unlawful, and your pilgrimage is not free of sin, and it is unacceptable." There it is. Clear evidence again. So the money that you have to make Hajj should not be a loan. And the money that you have to make Hajj should be from legal sources. Otherwise, Allah is not accepting your Hajj. You just put yourself in debt for no reason. And finally, a lot of people ask about this. When you go to make Hajj, you will see a lot of Muslims there selling things and buying things. Should we just focus on Allah? Is it haram for me to sell things or when I'm on Hajj? Well, there is no harm in engaging in trade and business when you make Hajj or Umrah. Ibn Abbas tells us in the beginning, when Allah sent down the obligation to make Hajj, the people used to trade it at Mina and Arafat in the marketplace during the Hajj season. But they thought that it might be forbidden. So that's when Allah sent down the verse of the Quran, the clear evidence saying there is no sin in you if you seek the bounty of your Lord during the pilgrimage. So there's the evidence. There's the clear evidence again. There is nothing wrong with selling things when you make Hajj. Some people make Hajj, they go and they always take things with them to sell to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, we have a hadith where a man asked Ibn Abbas, I hire myself to be a guide to the people. Will I get a reward for this? And the Ibn Abbas told him yes. As Allah says in the Quran, in the interpretation and meaning, to these will be allotted what they have earned, and Allah is quick in account. So again, there's nothing wrong with engaging in business transactions and trade when you're on Hajj. A lot of people are guides. They go as a leader every year to take you on Hajj, and they get paid for that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? So again, that's more details about the conditions of making Hajj. I want you guys to remember, number one, you have to be able to afford it. And it's expensive. Not only must you afford that plane ticket and your lodging, but you got to have money that will support your wife and family while you're gone too. Ain't no taking out no loan. Ain't no begging and borrowing and selling your stuff. That's stupidity. That means you didn't meet the criteria. And also you have to be healthy and fit. And it must be safe, a safe time to travel. Those are conditions of making Hajj. And as you can see just from these two classes, today and yesterday, you see a lot of people make Hajj and don't meet the criteria. Maybe some of you. And also remember, if you do take your children on Hajj, it's a good thing. But remember, you have to let them know that when they reach puberty, they have to make it again when they're adults. Because that's one of the criteria too. You have to be an adult. All right, so we'll stop right here for today. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can type them on the screen. Tomorrow we'll speak more about the Hajj. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta.